Hi everyone, it's Dasher Dave here and I'm back for another crafty video. So today we're going to make one of these. So this is just something I came up with. I wondered why I wasn't sleeping for the last few days. It's because my brain's alive with ideas at the moment. So I made this and I want to show you it, and I want to show you how I made it. So it's made with a file folder, of course. It's got a couple of pockets in the front here. Okay. It's got a notebook which is replaceable because it's tied with a piece of string, and then it's got a pocket in the back big enough for, you know, whatever you want. You know, this is just ephemera that I've made to go in there. So really simple, and what we're going to do is we're going to start with a file folder. Okay, so you're going to start with a file folder. If you don't have a file folder, you can make it with an A3 sheet of paper, well, card or whatever. So this is craft card. So I'm going to show you the same sort of technique with the craft card as with the file folder, but we'll start with the file folder. So if you've got a file folder, they often come with this gusseted bit in the middle. So this is so that when you fill it up with stuff, it expands and it doesn't rip the bottom. Okay, so we're going to use that to our advantage. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by folding on these lines. So you just want to fold them. So that middle one is already folded, okay, and then you want to fold these. So don't worry about which direction you're folding these at the moment. You just want to make sure that they're kind of straight at the moment. So you're just going to fold that one up, and then you're going to find that one, and then you're going to fold that one up. Okay, so you've got two of the creases in there that you want. You need to have a couple more. Okay, so let's talk about how they're going to fold. Okay, so initially, the middle crease is going to fold the way it's actually been designed to fold, and then these other two are going to fold back on themselves. Okay, so we want to do those. Let's put those in, and then you'll be able to start seeing what's happening. And then you're going to flip it over, and you can do the same with the other one. You're going to fold that back, and what you've done is created this little gully down the middle. Okay, and that's the bit that's going to hold your paper in place. Okay, so then you want to fold another piece the same width as your initial gusset. So depending on these are about, I think they're are they half an inch? I believe they're about half an inch. They are half an inch. If they were modern files, they'd probably be a centimetre, but I think these ones are actually half an inch. So okay, so I'm looking for my, there we go. So rather than doing it on a scoreboard, I'm just going to show you, you don't need a scoreboard. All you need to do is just use something. It doesn't have to be a ball tool. It could be the back of a pair of scissors, the back edge of a pair of scissors, just to score down here. Okay, and then that will create just a score line big enough, okay, to be able to fold. So all it's doing is it's encouraging the fibres to bend in that bit. So you might want to just be a bit more gentle if you don't have a scoreboard, but you can just fold it and it will want to bend on that bit that you've just done. So that's that. Okay. And then of course we're going to do one this side as well now. So again, we're just going to use our already made one to be the guide as how deep it needs to be. Move that out of the way. And then I'm going to use this because I'm not very good with holding pairs of scissors. I've already nearly stabbed myself with the scalpel today. So, and then we're going to bend that again on that line that we've just created. So don't worry if you don't have a scoreboard. There's nothing to stop you from making these things. If you don't have scoreboards, they're a convenience, but they're not a necessity. Okay, so there we go. So we've got all of those folds in place, and what's going to happen is these two are going to push together, and that's going to be the bit that holds our pad. So if you have a look at the internal mechanism, that's literally this bit here, is this bit here, and that's the thing that's going to hold our pad in place. Okay, so that's it on a file folder. I'll just show you the same thing using a piece of A5, A3, not A5. That's be a very small file if it was A5. Okay, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it in half first. Okay, and then just pinch that crease first. Put a pinch line in. If you don't have a bone folder, use the butt of a pair of scissors. So your scissors can be a multi-use tool. Yep, so put that crease in, okay, and that's your middle crease, so that's this center crease, and then everything else is going to fold back off that. Okay, so what you might want to do is, this is the time to get your mat or do some measuring and get that into place, okay, because then that'll help you create a straight line. So if you line it up top and the bottom with your mat, and then you use your ball tool and you score down there, make sure your fingers are out of the way, because if it goes around your finger it'll try and fold on that curve. Okay, so we do that, so that's again on that center line, and we're going to put another one in there. So if it's a bit noisier today, a couple of things. Brian's here and he's in the background. That I'm not suggesting he's noisy. He is, but for a change, yeah. But also I have the window open because it's Scorchio here. So I know that I didn't realise this, but I didn't realise that most Americans believe that it just constantly rains here. It's just, we always go on about it's always raining here as like a kind of a tongue-in-cheek joke. It does rain a lot, but it's not always raining. We do see the sunshine sometimes. We don't get tanned from the rain. It's not rust. So there we go. So we put all of our lines in, okay, and we're just gonna fold on those lines. So don't worry about which direction they need to go. First of all, just use your ruler as a bit of a guide if you need to, just kind of just fold up on it and just give it a bit of a bend, and then that just makes it easier to maneuver, manipulate, whatever. Any other word that begins with M that is appropriate. Might be one that's better, to be fair. Also, if I'm a bit delirious, I'm tired, and I'm overheating because it's so warm here. Okay, so this is the crease that's going to bend in. Okay, so if you look at this file here, so that one, that's the gully. So you've just then got to decide which is the outside, which is the inside. I want this to be on the outside, so I'll bend the middle crease that way and just score it in. Okay, then the next line across is a valley fold, so that way, and then we're just going to score that in, make sure it's straight so it lines up top and bottom. There we go. And the next line is that way, so again just score that in. Okay, and then flip it round, and then you can do the same with the other side. So remember, that's your middle one, and so your next one is a valley fold. That's going to go there, and then this one is going to fold back on itself, so it becomes a mountain fold. I'll score that one in. Okay, and you will get the same. Except for which side did I want? I've done it that way around. Anyway, done it that way around, doesn't matter. So that's your inside now, Dave. Or you can just bend all those folds round. Sorry, completely did that the wrong way. Never mind. You know me. I'm quite happy to make mistakes. It's absolutely fine. I can make mistakes because you can too. If you want it to be like a W, well, it's an elongated W. Okay, so that's the right way around now, Dave. There we go. Cool. So there you go. You've got that same gully on the middle there. Okay, so They should sit together. They do. Cool. Okay, so that's what you're going to do. Okay, so the next thing is you've got to decide what size paper you want on the inside, because that will decide how big the rest of it will be. Now I've cheated and already folded some here, so all I've got is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pages folded together, just folded in half, and then that is going to decide to me how big I want this file to be. So you might want it to be this full size, but I don't. I want to cut it down, so I'm going to just guesstimate it. Okay, so I'm going to have about this much at the bottom, maybe go for, be a bit symmetrical and have like 1/2 inch here, and then go for 1/2 inch this way. So if we measure our paper, we've got that at 8 1/4 inches in width, or height in this case. So if we go for, we want 1/2 inch on either side, so that's going to be 8 3/4, so 9 1/4, is that right? 2 1/2 inches, yeah, we're adding an inch to it, aren't we? So 1/2 inch up here, 1/2 inch down here, that adds an inch, so it's going to be 9 1/4 wide. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that down to that size. Now I could do that freehand, but I have a guillotine, so, well, a paper cutter, so, and I've changed the blade in it. Although I have to say, Fiskars, your new thing, this cutty blade thing, the plastic is much shallower, so it's harder to grip, and also the blade is shallower, so it doesn't cut quite so deep either. So they're obviously making cutbacks. So we're going to go 8 1/4 this way. I'm going to cut that bit off. So it doesn't always cut through first time because the blade isn't quite so deep, but it did. That's fine. Now I'm going to keep the text on. You could put the text on the inside if you prefer, or you could, you know, cover it, whatever. Okay, and then remember, this is going to form your kind of spine. Okay, and that's going to, your paper's going to sit in there, and that's going to hold on to it. Now, there are a couple of things you can do on this. Is when we come to joining it, you can make it so that it's removable like mine is, and have it with just some string holding it. I like that because it's kind of got that kind of period feel, you know, it's a utilitarian journal. You can replace the parts to it, okay, or you could staple it in, because what you can do is you can access this bit, which is the bit that's going to hold it all. So you could put this in here, and you could staple that in from the back there, or you could glue it in. Okay, so you could bind this and then glue it in. Okay, but I'm going to do it exactly the same way as I made it before. Okay, so now what we've decided is we've decided how big we want it this way. We've now got to think about how we want it to look this way. Okay, so put on your folds in the right place, and then decide how big do I want this to be. Where am I gonna have, how much overhang am I gonna have here? So you can see here I went for a similar sort of size, about 1/2 inch overhang, and I'm going to do that again. So you kind of put this down so it butts up to that spine like this, and you can see that we need to be aiming for about, so the papers don't all sit perfectly, so this one is going to be sat much further in, because as they tuck inside each other, what they get slightly progressively look like they're progressively larger. It's just because they're the thickness of the paper. So then we are going to, sorry, Brian's just dropped me a message and now it's just thrown me a little. So yeah, so we're going to have it so that it's about 1/2 inch hanging over. So I'm going to have it 1/2 inch hanging over from its widest point. So not from the shortest paper, but from the widest paper. Okay, so we're going to go for about 1/2 inch. So that's going to be about there. Right, so rather than me actually cutting it like this, I am going to mark it with a pencil. Will he? Will he mark it with oh, he will mark it with a pencil. I was thinking, do I have a pencil to mark it with? But I do. So I'm going to mark it with a pencil. About there, and I'll make sure it's straight before I make that cut. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out of the way, and then I'm going to fold this back on itself, so we've got just the Y gusset now. Okay, and then that way then I can see my pencil marks. He says you can see his pencil marks. I can't even see them. Let's try that again then, Dave. Try putting some pencil marks in that you can actually see this time, maybe. Call me, maybe. Call me, maybe. Yeah, shh. Oh, I can see it now. There. And I don't know where the other one was. There. Right, I can see it. It's alright, just me having a blind moment. New glasses and everything. So, open that up. Pop that in there. So, you can see this one down here is not the same. It's not going to be straight. If I cut it to that pencil mark, it wouldn't make it straight. So I'm going to make it straight. What am I doing? Don't cut it, Dave. You're not cutting it, you're scoring it. So, it's because Brian threw me off with the message that he sent me. It's just like literally. So I'm going to measure it. So let's measure it. So it's about 6 1/4, isn't it? Is that about right? Yeah, 6 1/4 inches there. We know that measurement is about the right one. And this one is 6 1/4, so that's not in the right place, that one. So what we're going to do is we're going to line those two up now. Sorry about that. I also need to turn my light on because although it's bright outside, I can't see what I'm doing. I can't see the pencil lines. Right. So you want to kind of line it up. The reason for that is if the score line does transfer through, it's not going to throw you off when you try and fold the crease on the one on the other side. You might have to put the crease line in, but if you've got two lines, it's a bit like if you have a seam in your trousers. You don't want to have a double one because it looks ridiculous. So I'm just going to go down here with this. Yeah, and we're going to bend that. Okay, and then you bend that right over, and then we'll use that line as the line for where the other piece is going to be. The other piece is going to bend, but we're not going to bend it that way. We're going to bend it that way. Okay, so then that gives us our bits that tuck in. So remember, if you're doing that on this one, we're going to do exactly the same. We're going to open it up. We get our piece of paper. So I'll use a different one. This has already got a hole in it. So, but I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with it. You would do it like this. You could actually, I wonder if they could do that the other way around. Let's just see. Could you fold that the other way around and it be long enough? Not really, but you could do something very similar. Should we do that with this? Yeah, let's do that with this. I know you're going to say, well, there's a big crease down the middle of it now, Dave, but like, hey, I don't mind. Do you? Are you worried about the crease down the middle? No, good. None of us are. It's a twofer. You're going to get 2 for the price of 1 ear. 2 for the price of 1 ear. I don't want 1 ear. Who wants 1 ear? Shut up, Dave. Just shut up for 5 minutes. Give it a rest. Give people a rest. Give peas a chance. So, hold these all over. I'll probably have sped this up for you so that you don't have to watch my pain doing this, because this is an impromptu, I want to do it this way now. Together, but never mind. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Okay, so we're going to pop this in and we're going to look at where we want to cut this off. So instead of cutting this time, we're going to cut this. Okay, so we want to do, again, about 1/2 inch at the top, about 1/2 inch at the bottom, which is, I like 1/2 inches because they're basically a centimetre. So it might be a little bit less on this one. We're going to cut about there, which is about that bottom, no, second from bottom line. Good luck cutting with this, Dave, because the blade is so shallow these days. It won't actually cut through these altogether. It used to. I liked my old blade. Sorry, Fiskars, but like I loved this trimmer until you made your blades shallower. I'm going to hold that in place because I don't think that will have cut through all of them. No, it hasn't. Flip that back over. Straighten that up a bit. Right, we'll take that out because that's not going to happen in there, is it? Just going to cut that with a blade. Cut it with a blade. I'd cut it with a blade if I could find the blade. Brian did borrow the blade. Oh no, it's back. He did give it me back. It's fine. Blaming Brian. It wasn't his fault. Yeah, so we're doing a bit impromptu now. We're going off piste, but like you can make it whatever size you want it to be. Remember, but we're going to do this way because then we've got 2 different sizes. And that way then I'm more likely to use them because I've not got millions all made in the same size. So this is now going to be sat in here this way, okay? So then again, we're just going to look at how deep do we want. How deep is your look? Shut up with that, Dave. Seriously, get a grip. Rest it on that. So don't worry about all of these and trying to get it in the middle. Rest it on that very first crease, yeah, because that's as far out as it will come. And then get that lined up on a line. As we haven't cut this page, it should be square, which it is, luckily. Okay, so now we're going to say, right, how big do we want this to be? Get a pencil, have a look. We want it to be about here. About there? Yeah, about there. Maybe let's just go for that half an inch line there, and we go for the same, about the same there. Take this out and then use a ruler. Try and do it. Might not be the most perfect half an inch you've ever seen in the world, but hey, it's my half an inch. That's all that matters. So scoring down there. Don't press too hard because you just drag and rip the paper, and then use that as something to fold up against. And again, what we're going to do is we're going to take it, we're going to flip it over, and then we're going to fold all of our creases together, line it up, and do the same again on this side. So I'll flip that back this time. Use the ruler to score against, because that way then the paper's not going to lift up and you get a wonky line. I'm going to use that line as our score line, and we're just going to use that to fold up on, and then fold it back. Sorry, fold that line up first. Find the line, fold the line. Find the line, fold the line. There we go. And now we can fold it back. Now we know where that line is. Cool. Okay, so we'll just put those in. Actually, they do need to be that way around. And they are going to be our pockets front and back. So, come back to that one in a minute. Let's go back to this one. Okay, so now we know where our pockets are. Okay, what you need to do is you need to decide what you want to do with them. Now, I decided on my original one that I made to have it with 2 pockets at the front, and literally I didn't even glue it. I just literally sewed them top and bottom, well, top, middle and bottom, and this one I left as a big pocket. Do I want to do the same on this one? Maybe I want the bigger pocket on the front. So let's go for a bigger pocket on the front. Find your score tool. I'm just going to score that in nicely so we've got a very defined crease, and the same with that one. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to need to sew those. Okay, so rather than, you've seen me sew these 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times. I've talked about exaggerating, Dave. I've told you 1,000,000 times, don't exaggerate. So rather than doing that, I'll be back in a second. So, okay, so I'm back. So all I've done is I've sewn this bit in the front, and I've sewn this in the back. And I had a bit of a jam on my sewing machine, which is pretty typical. Good job it didn't happen on camera, although Sod's Law would have said it wouldn't have done if I'd recorded it. So I did record it, but you just didn't need to see the top of a sewing machine, and I didn't set up the other camera. So because my battery needs charging, my phone battery, I'm on a 18%, and like it wouldn't have survived, so that's the reason why I didn't do it on there. So like I said I was going to do, big pocket at the front, 2 smaller pockets at the back. All I did was I just marked where the middle was and just sewed down the middle. Okay, so that's our pockets on that one. Our pockets on this one, how do we want those? Okay, so remember this is going to be a slim line, more of a I don't know what I can't remember what they're called. Brian was here, which he isn't because he was just nipped out. If it was here, he'd have told me, but I can't remember. So on this one, because it's longer, I could have more pockets in, and I could have 2 pockets in the front, and I could have 3 in the back, maybe. Okay, but I'll do those off camera, and you'll see that shortly. So let's just work on this one. So what we're going to do on here now is we're going to create our fastening for attaching this, and it's just so simple. Right, you will need a hole punch. Now, I rescued this from work. It was being thrown out. This is a very old one. It doesn't work particularly well, and it certainly doesn't go through all of these at the same time. Okay, so, and also you don't really want to punch them all at the same time, because where you think that they are lined up at the back, they may well not be in the middle, because remember they're pushing themselves out a bit, and you could end up with a hole right on the very edge and it not be very secure that way. So what I would do is suggest that you take out maybe 3 at a time. 3 might be a bit much because these are quite thick. Let's do 2 at a time, and we're going to put this in the middle. So how do I know where the middle is? Well, most of them have a guide. So this is how old this one is. It doesn't even have a guide on it. Okay, but you would put a guide in on, and you would be able to punch it. As I don't have a guide, I'm just going to measure it. So I know that this is 8 1/4 inches wide, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to get my pencil. So if it's 8 1/4, it's going to be 4 1/8 is going to be the middle. So I'm just going to mark that line there. And the reason it's so far over is because I'll need to use the middle of this hole as the guide, and if I put it right here I wouldn't see it. So I'm going to use that as the guide. And what you need to be aware of is you don't want to go all the way in, because if you butt this right up to its halt, this gusset will be too deep to fit in this channel. So what you need to do is you just need to get it so that it's just in, not just in, but just in, far enough for the holes to have a full circle, but without it being compromised by the edge. So you don't want it to have overhang the edge. So once you get the first lot in, the others become easier because you use that as your template. So you just have to, it is fiddly, but once you get it in, it'll be okay. So there you go. That easily goes through 2 pages. Trust me, it won't go through any more than 2 pages. It was rescued from work, like I say. It's a really old one, and I just like old stationery. And you know, it's made of complete metal these days. They're mostly made of plastic. So, and I rescued it. So I felt like I was saving it from the scrap heap in the sky. So I'm just going to put those holes in, and rather than using my hole punch this time, because it'd be very hard for me to line those up, I will just use my single hole punch instead and put that over the hole and punch that, and over the hole and punch that. There we go, that's those. I'm going to use that again as a template and just do the final 4 because I'm not using the hole punch anyway. So again, just line those up, take that one off and punch those in. And if you've got obviously like you've got a decent hole punch, you'll be able to do it all in one go, but rather than buying a new hole punch, I just thought I'd rescue that one. So there we go. So that's going to sit inside there. Don't worry if they don't all completely line up, as long as you can see through the holes. There you go, that's fine, that's perfect actually. So then what we need to do is we need to place this in here, okay, so that we have it sat in the gusset. You decide where you want it, so it's in the middle somewhere. You put your little gusset round to make sure it all sits in, so it's not over the crease. It sits butted up to the crease, but it's not over the crease. And then you just use those holes as your template holes. Yeah, you just draw a circle on them, and this time now what you're going to do is you're just going to fold, for the time being, fold this crease back in on itself, and then you're just going to use those holes to kind of, those drawn holes to tell you where you're going to need to punch your holes. Okay, then you're going to flip that back into being a the right way around, so it should be a valley. You can put those in there, and when you flip this over you should be able to see all the way through, which you can. There you go. So this is where you can choose to either have a tie. If you have the tie on the outside, then when you fold this back you can't glue it down, so you'd have to have that so it was openable and you could get to it. I wanted them so that they were you could do it from the inside. Okay, so if you want to do it like that, that's just another way. If you want to do it so that you can tie it from the inside, so you can just tie in another one, then you're just going to make 2 further holes either side, just over those. But I wanted to show the other way first. I'm going to do that. And then you're going to do that. So if your holes, like you can see here, are right on the very edge, you've just got to bear in mind that you can tug this, otherwise it's all going to come out. Or you could reinforce this. Now what could you reinforce it with? Well, you could reinforce it with some of my sellotape. And I showed you how to make this before, so in one of my previous videos, you just, you know, use this. Why not? It's perfect opportunity to use it. It gives you that kind of utilitarian look. It gives you that kind of touch of authenticity, like somebody has repaired this. It's been around for a while, and I just love it. So I didn't use it on the last one because it was fine. I'm going to use it on this one because it's not. It needs a bit of reinforcement on this one, and I love using this tape. And I know that I get a bit giddy about the whole. It's just a piece of tape, Dave. Stop getting so giddy about it. So I'm just going to pinch it. Put that over. Obviously, don't cover over the completely cover over the holes. You just want to use it as a reinforcer. That I'm going to take a bit more off here. I like it when it's torn, when it's like kind of torn naturally. And even going to keep that tiny bit. And I know you're probably thinking, what? You could just throw that away, but no, I made it. A little nick and then just rip it, and then that way then it rips more organically. Put that over. Oh, it's just fab. It just makes me feel so so giddy, so excited, so like I genuinely get caught up in the it's, you know, it's been found, it's a piece of, like, you know, office ephemera that somebody couldn't bear to part with, or, you know, they couldn't afford to part with. I don't know. If you sellotape overhangs it, just give it a punch. There we go. Don't give it a punch, obviously. And then what we'll need is some string. So I've just got some string that this is just coffee dyed string. So it's just brand new string that I've coffee dyed, make it look like it's been hanging around for a while. However, for some reason, it's managed to get itself in a knot. Well, wouldn't you know it? Wouldn't you know it? Cool. Okay, so let's open that up. There we go. Cool. And then what I do is I do a measure of, you want to go like an 1.5 inches past the holes. Do that once, twice, 3 times. A lady. No. And I love you. Oh, shh, Dave. Now what we're going to do is going to pass this bit through here and through here. So just on the first pass through. Sorry, I just need to open that hole up a bit more because my sellotape is just overhanging a bit. Through there. Okay. And we're going to put our paper on it. So you're going to have the paper so it's this way round, and you're going to put this through that hole. If you want to use a needle, if it makes it easier to do that, that's fine. But you should be okay without one. I need to wet more. I'm going to put it in my mouth, but I've wetted it with a bit of lick instead. So, sorry for getting my head in the way, but I needed to suck the end of it, and because taste of coffee. It just temporarily binds the fibres together, so you don't have to do that. Just want to tuck that together a bit so you can get them, they line up. Put a pencil in if you need to shuffle them together again a bit. Get that through there. Okay, so that's that bit, and then you want to then pass through this bit through this bit, this side as well. So remember, if you were doing it with it on the back, you'd be doing this, pulling it in from the back, passing it through the paper, and then passing it through to the back, and you wouldn't have these holes either side the other way, because you wouldn't. Just listen to me, don't argue. Of course it's going to misbehave. Oh no, there you go. It's not misbehaving now. And then we're going to do the same on this side. Okay. So now what you need to do is you just need to hold it closed. Yeah. Like this. Hold it closed and pull your thread through. Yeah, make it nice, make sure you've got it nice and taut. Yeah. And then you're just going to tie it. Yeah, and then you're going to make a ribbon, a bow, like you were doing with a ribbon. That's where the ribbon bit came in from. It's a bit fiddly, but worth it. Fiddly, but worth it. And give it a nice taut tie, and there you go. You've got a nice bit of a string closure. You can close it up. Oh, except for Dave, you've not done. Oh, that's the reason why. Because I haven't glued it yet. So this is now what you need to do. You're going to glue these gussets in to themselves. Okay. So just going to glue this closed. So this won't stop you. You wouldn't do this if you were having the tie on the back, because otherwise you wouldn't get it open again to re-tie it. And don't go over the holes, otherwise you'll glue the whole string bit in. You're going to glue this bit here. Yeah, and you can flip it over. You can do this bit here. Yeah, and you might want to deploy one of your handy, useful bricks that you might have lying around. Okay, if you don't have a brick, then you might use a clip. So I've got these clips, so they'll do the same thing. So you just clip that in. You're just going to hold it closed. So I would normally use a brick if I was leaving it, but because I'm doing it for you guys, I'll use a clip. Sorry, bits of cotton I'm all tied up with now. So you're just going to leave that to stick until that's made a complete bond, and then we've got our pad. But we'll wait until that's completely bonded, and then you'll see what I mean. So you see, this is what we've got here. It's the same. It looks like it's got 3 spines, but it hasn't. It's basically just the thing that's holding that bit in. So hopefully that will bond quite quickly as I'm using my art glitter glue. It has bonded. There we go. So there we go. We've got our little gusset that you can put your string in. Oh, that wasn't very tight, was it, Dave? That was a terrible string tying episode. Try that again. So the best thing to do is to kind of twist it. Once you've got it tight, twist it on itself. Don't put another knot in it, because then you'll find it hard to undo again. Twist it round on itself so it's less likely to loosen while you tie that bit in. Better, much better. In fact, there we go. So I like the roughness of the string, and then you put in it whatever you like. So that's that one. Let's just finish this one then while we're here. Put this together. Let's just score all of those lines in, because this is learning to be that fold, whereas the file folder had those folds in it already. It's training folds. I'm probably going to go off camera while I go and do the string. Sorry, while I go and do the sewing. So I'm going to sew these bits in. And you'll be able to then see whether I've done 3 or 2 pockets or whatever I've done. So back in a minute. See you in a second. Okay, so there we go. We've put those in. So I put 2 on this side and 3 on this side. I'm not sure which way around I want that to be. I think I'm going to go for that. So I'm going to have the 3 on the front and the 2 on the back. Okay, so this time we're going to put some holes in it. But I think what we need is we're going to go for 3 holes, because why the heck not? So in order to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to look at how big do we want these to be. So the distance apart. So how big is our paper? It's approximately 10 3/4 inches. So if we find the middle of that, so let's see if there's a better measurement going on this ruler. It's about 27 centimeters. So half of 27 is half of 26 is 13 and a half. So if we go for 13 and a half, which is that line there, luckily, so that's 13 and a half. So we're going to say there, and then we want something that's equidistant between those two. So that is 13 and a half. So it doesn't even have to be equidistant. So let's say, let's go 8 centimeters that way, and then of course that's going to mean we have 8 centimeters that way. You just want it to look right. It doesn't have to be perfect. So that's where we're going to have our holes. Yeah. And we're going to put them into here, and we're just going to tie it up ever so slightly differently. So, okay, so where's my hole punch? There we go. So we're going to, because it's not at the spacing of that, I'm just going to do it kind of freehand actually, just make sure I've got, where does that come to? There. My hole to be somewhere in there. If you can get them through all of those holes, Dave. Yeah, there we go. You could do this with your crocodile, obviously, and you'd get a better result, but I'm just being lazy. Being lazy and feeling like I'm obviously extra strong to be able to do this, Dave. This is not like you. Not going down the easy route. What on earth are you playing at? There we go. That's our 3 holes. Then we're going to put that in there, and that's going to be our template for where we're going to have the other holes. So we're going to do that, that, and that. So then we're going to do, put those in there. Sorry, you can probably see it, I can't. So there you go, that's better. Okay, then we're going to use those as a template for the other side. So they all line up. And we'll just punch those in. I always put myself into pressure so they all line up and then think, I'm not sure that they are going to all line up completely. That one definitely isn't going to line up with that, but never mind, it'll be enough. Oh no, that's not too bad, that's fine. And then of course, then now what we need to do is we need to put those in the back. So, sorry, no, they don't need to be in the back. It's not in the back, Dave. We've done them in the back. That's what we didn't do before. We did it this way round before, and we did it this way. So don't put them in the back page, Dave. Shut up. So there we go. So do I need to reinforce those? No, because they're not right at the edge. Do I want to reinforce them? No. But will I put some sellotape on it? Of course I will, because, you know, I can, so I will. I'll put some sellotape on it to make it look like it's been repaired in some way. Oh, it's too straight at that end. Too straight for me. Oops. Okay. Now let's have that maybe across. Should we have it down there? And just make sure that it's out the way of that hole. There we go. It's going to go down there. Okay, so now we're going to put this in, but this time we're going to do it slightly differently. We're going to do it as though we were sewing in a binding a book. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3. Okay. And now we're going to go in from the middle, through the paper, through the back to the back bit. More fiddly, I know. Like that. Then we're going to come out through the top. Okay, when you're pulling, just make sure you don't pull it all the way through. Just like if you were binding a book, just don't pull it all the way through. And that's going to go right the way down to here. in through that bit, through the book, well, through the page, the signature. If the string splits, just be careful. If you're pulling only a few strands through from the back, it might all start to unravel. It'll get tangled and start to fray apart. So try and get as many threads as you can to come through this bit, and then pull that through. So pull that so that that's kind of taut, and then we're going to pull this through, just like we were bookbinding. So this is going to get more complicated because you're trying to get it through a bit where there's already some string. There we go. The hole's a bit more crowded than it was. If you've got a needle with a big enough eye, you'd probably be better doing that, but I don't. And so then we're going to go through this last one. I might need something to poke it through this time, Dave. See, this is what's happening. It's all unraveling because I've only got a tiny amount through that hole. So let's just try and get more strands through this time. There we go, that's better. Okay, so now we've done that. When you're tying it, you just want it just as though if you were bookbinding, you'd have one of the string one side of this vertical string and one of the ends, sorry, one of the string ends the other side. Okay, and you also want to then tighten it all up. So give it a pull, tighten it, get it pinched in, tighten with both ends, tighten it, pull it. Don't pull too hard because you can rip it. If you want to put some of the hole reinforcers in, put some hole reinforcers in. Straighten your page up and then give it a tie. Okay, so we're going to tie it over like that. Yeah, and then we're just going to tie it into a knot. Okay, and if you want to cut the other bits of string off, you can. Sorry, the other ends, sorry. If you want to make them a bit more uniform, which bit am I pulling through? That bit there. Make the ends a bit more uniform. Give it a tie, just make sure it's nice and tight. Cut a bit off of that, cut a bit off of there. Okay, so that's it. So then that's that one. Okay, and then the only other thing to do is to just glue down this back bit. Okay, so you're just going to get your thing in that spine. You don't have to do this. As you can see, it stays, once you've got a nice strung tie on it, it stays together nicely, but I like the look of it with it all joined up nicely, all glued in nicely, sorry. Remember not to go over those holes that you've made, because you'll find it hard to get the signature back out again, because if you've glued all the string in. Okay, and again, all we're going to do is just clamp that shut so that it forms a nice bond. Oh no, it might not form a nice bond like that, will it? That one there. There's the other one there. Put that one on this end. Pinch it. I'm trying to. Ooh, this is alive. I'm telling you, it's alive. There you go. Pinch that. And that should then. Oh, these are just not playing today, are they? I'm expecting far too much of them. I think that's what it is. They're overworked. There we go. Cool. So, while that's drying, let's just have a look at the other one. So, obviously I didn't make any ephemera for it. You make what ephemera you like, but I just like the fact that they're quite a simple make. Once you get into a rhythm, they're simple to do. Okay. They're just a bit different. You can tie it all in. And this is the one that I made before. There's a bit of extra string, well, thread there. Let's get that off. So this is the prototype. This is the one I made originally. I've put the ephemera in this one. Okay. This is the other one that we made. So we've got a pocket, a big pocket at the front this time, and 2 small pockets at the back. Okay, and then you can take this out. Remember, so you know, you could give that to a friend, and then they can continue to add more and more. So you can even put your pages in the right way up. So, which I don't think mine are. So, say, look, there you go. Never mind. You can always flip it round, and there you go. There's no, who knows which way up that is. So that's that. So let's have a look at this one. Hopefully this is now dry. Yes, it is. And so this is the one, the longer one that we made. So it's another, just a little journaly thing. Again, tied in. You know, you can, the friend can just use their scrap paper for that. So 3 really nice, easy, 3 really nice, easy, one nice and easy file in 3 different ways. That's what I'm trying to say. There you go. So if you've enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a like. Please don't forget to subscribe, share it with other people. That really helps me to grow my channel. If you want to buy me a coffee, you know, a one-time tip, you can go to buy me a coffee, or you can go to my Ko-fi. Ko-fi has some exclusive digitals on there that are, you know, less than £1 a sheet, and it's also got some free digitals on there and some free templates on there. Go over there and like have a look and see, you know, or follow me on Etsy. Don't follow me around the supermarket because I have no idea where I'm going, so definitely don't follow me. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. So I shall see you all in the next video. So thank you very much. Don't forget, I love you all without exception until you give me a reason not to. So don't give me a reason not to. And I'll see you all soon. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Lots of love, lots of crafty hugs, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye. Bye. Bye.